and I've done it before with some of you, is shifting or transferring body weight, just so that we can get a nice sense of balance. We can get a nice sense of transitioning through different levels, but then also just becoming aware of when we do shift body weight, how it loads us quite differently. So it just brings sort of a different sense of awareness to our joints as well. So you're not going to need anything special today besides your mat and maybe a block or a pillow or a cushion if you need some kind of prop. All right. And otherwise, is everybody feeling strong?
Yes,
can we throw
thank
you.
you.
We can, great. We can throw you in the deep end on your Friday morning, eh? Okay, cool. So I've muted the background conversation. If you guys have any questions, you just unmute yourselves and give me a shout. And we're going to start in an upright standing position. So coming onto your mats, and we're going to be starting a little bit differently today. So instead of turning this way, so you're standing lengthways on your mat, I want you to turn so that you are standing sideways on your mat. And I'm just going to lift my camera up a little bit so that you can see my head in the picture. So stand pretty much in the middle of your mat, separate your feet slightly. Again, double check that your toes are level. Just let your arms relax beside you, chin lifted, and before we close eyes, start shifting your body weight from side to side. So as you do that transferring of body weight, you're keeping your spine pretty much centered. So you're just shifting more to one leg and then the other. And this is quite a lovely way to start waking up those lateral lines of the body, which does include the obliques. So I become quite aware of my obliques when I do this. And then come and stand centered on your 2 feet. Pause here for a moment. And now start to bring your body weight a little bit forwards and a little bit backwards. So it's not a massive movement because I don't want your feet to actually physically lift up. And now as you shift and transfer body weight from your heels to your toes and then back again, start to notice the connections between the front and the back of your body. So you can feel the abdominals connect, and as you come forward on your toes, you can feel the back of your body connect. And then come and center yourself over the arches of your feet. And now let's close eyes or just turn your gaze downwards. And taking just a few conscious breaths in and out. Allowing yourself to be present on your mat. Finding the connection through your breath to both your physical body and your energetic body. And taking just one more full deep breath in through your nose, long exhale through your mouth, and you can blink your eyes open here. Let's move into our roll down. Nod your chin. Start peeling forward through your spine. And you're going to come forward with your knees slightly softened. You can come as low to the floor as it feels comfortable for you. And just pause there for a moment. Nod your head, yes. Shake your head, no. Let your head hang heavy. And now in this position, do a gentle rocking action forwards and backwards on your feet. It's tiny, but notice when you shift your body weight back that you don't really need abdominals. When you come forward on your toes, you can feel immediately that the abdominals wake up. And then again, center yourself over the arches of your feet. So there should be an awareness of your abs. And then roll yourself all the way back up into standing. Just allow your arms to relax beside you and your eye line lifts all the way up. Roll your shoulders back and around a few times. Just find a little bit of a connection between your shoulder blades behind you. And then place your hands onto the shelf of your hip and bend your knees ever so slightly. Keep your center still as you lightly tap your left foot out to the side and bring it in. Left foot out to the side and bring it in. So you're alternating from side to side, but you're trying to keep your center line nice and stable. So any of you that maybe did aerobics in the gym, okay, this was sort of a very popular warm-up move, or if you've done any kind of dancing before. So now what we're doing is we're keeping our center of mass stable and we are abducting at the hip. So this should be waking up the little gluteus medius muscle on the side of the hip. It's one of our bum muscles. Bring your leg back to the center, pause, and standing all the way tall. Take a breath in. Exhale as you look down and we start rolling forward through your spine. Just feel that lovely articulation. Come all the way down, all the way down. And when you reach the bottom, you stop, nod your head, shake your head, let your head hang heavy. And once again, do that shifting forwards and backwards over the heels and toes. And just notice, were you sort of naturally leaning backwards? I know sometimes I like to lean back. And when I bring my body weight forward, I suddenly feel the abdominals connecting. Center yourself over your arches. Unravel, use abs. Connect into the back line of your body. And once again, just let your eye line come up. Take a moment to make sure that you don't have a head rush. And once again, roll your shoulders around. And this time, start to notice that opening across the front of your collarbones, the front of your chest. Open up across your heart. And now soften. Place your hands onto your pelvis. Bend your knees slightly. Now this time, bring your center of mass with you. And step back. Other side. So as you move your leg outwards, you are bringing everything along so you are still centered between your 2 feet. So this is now a very different sensation from what we did a second ago. This is about shifting body mass, transitioning. Make sure that you're breathing. And allowing your feet to be pliable, allowing your knees to be juicy. And we're going to take just one more time. Come back to the center, pause, and straighten your legs. Let your arms relax. We're going to do one final roll down. Look down towards your feet. Feel that articulation of your spine. Maybe there's a little bit of a different awareness around your hips and your pelvis. Relax, nod your head yes. Shake your head no. Let your head hang heavy. And then we do our little shifting forwards and backwards. And if your hands are on the floor, use them for balance. And then center yourself on your arches, roll back up into standing, and lifting all the way up and standing tall. Roll shoulders back and around, finding a balance between the front and the back of the ribs, and then allowing your arms to relax. Once again, you place your hands onto the shelf of your hip. Take a small step out to the right. Take a small step out to the left. So you have a nice wide base. And now we're simply going to straighten the knees and bend the knees. So we're getting a little bit of an awareness of changing levels and height. That's it. We're just going to take 2 more. Keep breathing. 1 more. Straighten your knees and stay here. Now I'm doing mirror image of you. Pivot on your right heel and turn the right toes out. Pivot on your heel and bring your toes forward. Now do the other side. Pivot on your heel and turn the toes out. Pivot on your heel and the toes come forward. So we're just going to keep doing that. Notice when you pivot on the foundation of your feet that there is a ripple that comes up your body. It's like a spiral, a response. So this is a great way to highlight that our feet in standing are our foundation. Everything else has to stack above your feet and ankles. Bringing that left toe forward. Now, pivot your right toes out and stay here. I want you to bend your right knee and then straighten it. Bend your back knee. Make sure that that knee is aiming over the toe and straighten it. So now let's just keep going. Find your own rhythm. And I want you to notice again the shifting of your body weight and the different connections that you might feel when you bring your body weight forward. You feel the front leg, you feel the back bum. When you bend the back knee, how about those abs? You might feel them kicking in a little bit more because when you bring your body weight back, your abs have to work. And we're going to do just 1 more time, bending the back knee and release and hold. Pivot your toes to the front and then pivot your left foot out. Stay here. Bend the front knee. Now again, the tracking of your knee over your toe is quite important. Same thing at the back. And release. So now again, if you're like me and your calf muscles can get a little bit tight, you might feel a little bit of a pull, like right there. I can feel, because I'm keeping my heel grounded, that I'm getting a little bit of a pull into the Achilles tendon. So it doesn't have to be big. You don't need to hurt yourself. We're just feeling the different connections. Bend and straighten. And for me, there's abdominals and straighten. We're going to do 1 more time. And press. Last time. And press. Pivot your toes forward, and we're going to stay here with this wide base. Soften your knees, your arms relax. Nod your chin and we start rolling forward through the spine. Heavy arms, heavy head, and we're going into that same roll down that we've been doing. But do you notice now with your legs wide apart that you're probably able to come much further towards the ground? Nod your head yes. Shake your head no. Let your head hang heavy. How about that little shifting of body weight forwards and backwards? Center yourself on your 2 feet. Spread your toes on the floor. Roll back up into standing. Using your breath and lifting nice and tall. Hands come onto the shelf of your pelvis. Pivot your right toes out. Now we're keeping the legs straight. We're going to do I'm a little teapot. So you let your hips stick out the back, and can you see that I'm keeping my spine straight? And then release up. So you are shifting your hips back. So I know it seems a little bit strange, but what you're actually doing is adducting the left hip and abducting the right hip. And coming up. We just don't normally think of it in those terms, because normally we move the leg, but now we're moving our pelvis and spine in relation to our base. Now, I don't know about you guys, can you feel that lovely release into the adductors, and can you feel the work in those obliques? We're going to do just one more time, a little shift of body weight. Bring yourself up, pause, and we rotate that foot in. Pivot your left toes out, and again, I'm a little teapot, and lifting back up. So keeping obliques connected. This is very angular and linear. So if you guys have any kind of background in yoga, this is preparation for a pose called the triangle pose. And if you think about a triangle, it's angular, it's linear, it's straight. There are no sort of curvy bits to it at all. So that's the image that we have here. Feel the release in that adductor on the left. Notice on your own body if there's a difference between the two sides. And come back to the center. Hold. Pivot your left toes forward. Soften your knees. Arms relax. Take a breath in. Exhale, nod your chin, and let's roll forward. Find the weight of your crown, the weight of your hands. Let your fingertips or your hands, if you're super flexible, put the palms of your hands flat down, holding it there. And give your head a little nod. Yes, yes, yes. And shake your head no. Let your head hang heavy. And then once again, do that little bit of shifting of body weight forwards and backwards. Center yourself and then unravel to come all the way upright and lifting tall. Taking your hand onto the shelf of your hip, you're going to step your right foot in, step your left foot all the way in. So now, if you're comfortable to have your feet touching, touch your feet. If you feel like your knees are bashing because of your leg alignment, then separate your legs a little bit, but have them as close together as you can manage. Letting your arms relax. We're going to inhale, reach all the way up. Feel how your ribs lift. And exhale, releasing your arms down. I'm going to step back a little bit so that you can see my arms. We're going to inhale, reach up. Fingertips touch. And exhale, release. Now we're going to do one more time. Inhale to reach all the way up. And this time, bring your right arm all the way down beside you. Start leaning your spine over towards the right. Relax your neck. And come back up. So just your spine is doing a very small lateral movement here. A little bit of release of the spine. And come back up. So we're going to do two more. Can you bring your awareness to the obliques? It's quite a controlled movement because you have a narrow base. So your balance is going to be a little bit more unstable than normal. And feel the obliques connect. Now let's add a movement of the pelvis to the side. So your spine goes and your hips go and release back up. 3 more. Guys, feel free to make this a bit smaller if it's pulling into your lower back at all. Relax your neck and shoulders. 2 more. Do you notice how your pelvis is acting as a counterweight, a counterbalance? So this almost feels a little bit easier than when just our spine was moving. Come back to the center, hold, bringing right arm all the way up. And bringing your left arm all the way down. So now just your spine. So it's going to be quite a small movement because we don't want your pelvis to go with you. This is eccentric work of the obliques, and when you come back up, it's concentric work. Small and controlled. So this is one of the amazing things about Pilates is that almost the smaller you go, sometimes the more refined and the more challenging the movement is. Now let's add the hip, the pelvis, pressing to the side and come back up. Now, I don't know about you guys, maybe it's feeling different for you, but this feels easier for me because I don't have to refine the movement so much. I can let my pelvis counterbalance. That's it. Shoulders easy. One more time. Reach. Coming all the way up. Pause. Bringing your left arm all the way up. Connect your fingertips. And relaxing arms all the way down. You can stay where you are. I'm just coming back onto my mat. Legs are close. Soften your knees. You're going to look down. We're rolling forward through the spine. Do you notice that this is a little bit more wobbly? Now that we've brought our feet together, it's a narrow base of support. Maybe your fingertips can touch the ground. Nod your head yes. Shake your head no. And let your head hang heavy. Do your little rocking forwards and backwards. Find the connections to your center. And then pause, take a breath, unravel, coming all the way upright and lifting nice and tall. Take a moment to roll your shoulders back and around and allow your arms to settle. Step your right leg out to the right and let your arms come with you and back to the center. And again, arms reach and center. So notice now when you're adding your upper body movement, because before we had our hands on our pelvis, notice that there is almost an added momentum with that movement and weight of the arms. Still juicy knees, still working through your feet. One more time to the left. One more time to the right. Hold it here and you can straighten both your knees. Now I want you to turn your left toes out to the side. And now I want you to pick up your back foot and spiral. Hold it here. You're going to bend both your knees and lift. And again, bend and straighten. So we're doing lunges. We are lifting and lowering our center of mass. Notice when you bend your knees that your weight bearing close to the knees, and when you come back up, you can really connect into your feet and core. We're going to do two more. One more. Up you come, hold. And now we're going to just pivot that back foot parallel. Pivot the front foot, hold it here, and step together. Do your little shifting of body weight again. Out and in. And out and in. Now when you do this, do you have a different sense of what these quadriceps muscles are doing? So after we did those little lunges, they might be a little bit more awake. Two more. One to the right. Now this last one out to the left. Hold it here and straighten. Now pivot on your right heel to turn your toes. Pick up your back heel and let your body spiral. So everything's facing the side. We bend and stretch. Now guys, this can be a tiny bend if you need. It doesn't have to be huge. For people that have knee issues, this is a great way to strengthen the knees, but you might need to work in a very small range of movement, which is absolutely fine. If you're on a thicker mat like I am, can you feel how wobbly this is? It's going to add that little bit of proprioception from your feet upwards. Notice how the joints react differently with the lifting and lowering. of our body mass. Up you come and hold it. You're going to pivot your back foot so it's parallel. Pivot on your right heel and then step your feet all the way together and hold it here. So you're going to keep your legs close. Take a breath in. Exhale, look down. Start rolling forward through your spine. And see if you can bring your hands all the way to the floor. Find your balance. Nod yes. Shake no. Let your head hang heavy. Do your little shifting forwards and backwards. And then center yourself. Unravel to come all the way upright and lifting nice and tall. Taking hands onto the shelf of your pelvis. Take a small step out to the right. Take a small step out to the left. Feet are nice and wide, and you're going to keep your knees just a little bit bent. So you're going to pivot your right heel 45 degrees. Pivot your left heel 45 degrees. You are in external hip rotation. Start straightening your knees. And then bend your knees. And for the dancers there, you can go into a grand plie if you wish. But guys, you're not allowed to let the knees roll in. Keep them out. And then pressing all the way up. Now stay here. Can you lift your heels up just a fraction? So you're balancing. And lower. Bend your knees. So you're taking a lovely deep bend, tracking with the knees. Straighten. And then lift. And lower. So we're starting to bring in a little bit of balance work. Everything so far has been very grounding. We're really rooted into the feet. Now when you lift your heels up, it's that lifting sensation, and you have to find pelvic floor, deep center line connection. 2 more. And highly recommend breathing. Rise and release. Bend your knees. You're going to pick up your right heel and pivot all the way around. Pivot your front heel and now step forward so you are at the front of your mat. Separate your feet very slightly. We inhale, reach all the way up. Fingertips connect. And exhale, float the arms down. Nod your chin. Start rolling forward through your spine. Come all the way down. Now, if you need to bend your knees, do so, because you have to get your fingertips or flat hand, if you're flexible, onto the ground. Keep your knees soft. Shift your body weight from side to side. So this is a little bit different now. Instead of going forwards and backwards, we're going from right to left. And then bring your body weight to your right foot and hold. What happens if you lift that left foot up in the air behind you? Can you feel the weight bearing on your standing leg? Can you feel that there's some weight on your fingertips? Now, what happens if you push up onto your index finger? Can you feel how much more your right bum has to work? And can you feel that you must use your abs? Now, you can stay here. Or what happens if you lift your hands up completely? There's balance. Placing all 10 fingers to the ground and stretch that left leg all the way back for a big step. Now, guys, if you need to put a cushion underneath your knee, do so. Long spine. If you need to put some kind of prop underneath your hands, do so. That's absolutely fine. We're going to lower the back knee down. Notice how it changes the pull on the front of your hip. And now lift that back knee up. Notice how you're standing on your feet again. Lower your knee down. It changes the pull on the hip joint. And then lift the knee up. We're just going to do 2 more of these. Lower and lift. One more time. Lower and lift. Now, juicy knees. Juicy. And give a little bounce. Juicy. Give a little bounce. 2 more. You're practicing standing on your front foot. 1 more. Step your feet beside each other and relax over. Start unraveling your spine, coming all the way upright, lifting tall. Pause for a moment. Close your eyes and just feel what is happening with your body. How do you feel on your 2 feet? How does it feel across the front of your pelvis and your hips? Because we've only activated and released one side. And you can blink your eyes open. Let's do the other side. We inhale, reach up. Exhale, open your arms wide. Look down and start rolling forward through your spine. Bring it down enough that you can put fingertips or flat hand to the ground. Soften your knees. And we do that little shifting of side to side again. And now stand on your left foot. Are you able to pick up that right leg? And immediately, can you feel how much more active your standing leg is? Hopefully up into that bum cheek as well. What happens if you push up onto your index finger on this side? Do you have balance? Can you feel the connections? Are you able, do you want to, pick up your hands on this side? All that work through your foot, all the way up your leg, your core, your eye line, keep breathing. Place all 10 fingers down, do a big step back with that right leg, and you hold it here. Give yourself props if you need. Lower the back knee down. Notice the pull on the front of the hip now. And then lift the back leg up. Notice the body weight on your feet. And again. And lift. 2 more. One more. Hold it. Juicy knees. Give a little push. And again. Just that little practice. One more. Step your feet together. Relax all the way over. Unravel your spine. Coming upright. Lifting tall. Stay here. Allow your eyes to softly close. Pausing just for a moment. Finding the connections. Noticing your right and left legs. The front of your pelvis. Your feet. Open your eyes. We're going to transition towards the floor. We inhale. We exhale. Open your arms wide. Nod your chin and start peeling forward through your spine. Bend your knees enough that you can put your hands flat to the ground. Step one leg back. It doesn't matter which one. Step the other leg back. Hold your plank position. Stay here just for 3 breaths in and out. Imagine you're standing upright and you're finding those connections again between the front and the back lines of your body. Bring one knee in, bring the other knee in. I want you to open your knees wide, put your big toes together, let your hips come back, and then round your body over to put your head to the floor. Bend your elbows so that your thumbs and the tips of your forefinger are touching. And we stay here just for a few moments. And we're just getting a little bit of a reference point about how our body is feeling, what's happening on our different joints right now. How do our muscles feel, our ligaments, all the fascia that's running through the body? How does your skin feel? Take another breath. And then make your way up onto all fours. So from this position here, I want you to set yourself up so wrists are below shoulders, knees are below hips, but you're going to keep a lengthened spine. So make sure that your abs are just lifting underneath you for some support. Start shifting your hips backwards and forwards. And just bringing yourself as far over your wrists as your wrists are happy with. For me, it feels like quite a nice stretch. But we're trying to keep the spine lengthened as opposed to rounding into a cat stretch here. And again, this is the whole concept of shifting our body mass. How does it feel when you bring your body weight forward? What switches on? What stretches? How does it feel when you shift back? What's working and what's having to release? Bring yourself just back to the center. Pause for a moment. Round your spine into a cat stretch. Move your hips halfway back, just enough that you can pop up onto the tips of your fingers and that you can actually just feel that there is no pressure on your wrists for a moment. Relaxing your neck. Place your hands flat down. And again, we're going to come forward and then lengthen to neutral. Now, walk your hands halfway back towards your knees. So this is now a shortened base. Start moving your hips back. We're still in that neutral position of the spine. And then shift your body weight forward. Notice that we've changed the position of our foundation and it completely changes our range of movement. I can sit way further back now than I could, and I can come way further forwards over my wrists, although I'm feeling quite a strong stretch. So it increases our range, and in turn, it increases maybe the stretch that we're getting at the joints. And we're going to take just one more time. Remember, if knees or wrists don't like a big range, then you keep it small. Bring yourself back to the center, hold it, open your knees, big toes together, sit back, bring your head all the way down towards the ground, but now, instead of keeping the elbows just bent where they were, how about you start walking your hands a little bit away from you, and maybe you can straighten the elbows. If that feels like it's too much around the shoulders, then please just bend the elbows again. So again, we are moving our position here. And notice how it changes the sensations in this position. It perhaps changes the focus to stretching the front of the shoulder, stretching latissimus dorsi. Whereas when we had our elbows bent a few moments ago, you might have had more of a sensation of stretching the lower back. Taking one more breath in and out, and then draw yourself up once again onto all fours. And 2 seconds ago, we shortened the base. So now, why don't you walk your hands a little bit forward, And then why don't you walk your knees a little bit backwards? So we have lengthened our base, still with a neutral spine. Start to move your body weight forwards and backwards. Notice how different this feels now. So this, by the way, is a fantastic way to start to connect into a muscle called latissimus dorsi, the lats. So when you push back, you can really feel the lats having to switch on. When you come forward, there's maybe a little bit more emphasis around the lower abs. Regardless, but notice on yourself, regardless, there is decreased stretch around the joints. Yeah? It's not as much pressure on the wrists or on the knees. Finishing your last one. Come back to the center, open your knees, big toes touch, sit back, rest your head, but this time, see if when you straighten your arms out, you can press up onto your fingertips. Notice how it increases the stretch, and then if it's available to you, maybe do a little bit of a rolling action side to side so that you get a little bit of an increased stretch on one side and then the other. And this is getting a little bit of a rotation through the thoracic spine here. Taking two more. Come back to the center, pause, and releasing all the way down. Start to walk your hands backwards towards your knees so that you can roll all the way upright. Spin your feet all the way around to the front of your mats. So you're going to have your knees bent. Now, I want you to take your feet quite wide apart, the width of the mat, and just let yourself lean back on your hands here. So it should feel just quite like an easy position. So you're not having to work to hold yourself. And we're going to start rolling the knees from side to side. So you're shifting the weight of your legs from side to side. Notice how big the range is. Maybe it's more to one side than the other for you. Notice how far up your back that rotation is going. So it might be quite big because you're on your hands, so you're getting a fair amount of rotation maybe up into the thoracic spine. And then also on your own body, notice what's happening around the shoulder joints, if it's quite easy for you or not. And then come back to the center and pause. Now, go back onto your elbows. And again, you want to be in like a pretty comfortable position for yourself. So feel free to move your arms if you need to. Still with your feet wide apart, start doing that same rolling action, side to side. And now again, we're shifting body weight through the legs. And there is a resulting rotation through the spine. Relax your head as much as you can. And notice on your body if you're getting the same degree of rotation. When I come down onto my elbows, there is less rotation up into my thoracic spine because there's less freedom because we've removed basically the elbow and the wrist joint, right? Now the rotation is pretty much restricted to the shoulders, and I can feel that there's a little bit of less movement. Come back to the center, pause. Now lower yourself all the way down. If your head's gone off the end of your mat, then just wheel yourself down. Keeping your legs straight, put your hands just a little bit down beside you, and now do the same movement here. So it's that rotation, allowing your legs to create the movement. And there is a resulting rotation from the thoracic spine, lumbar spine going up towards thoracic spine. Now again, I don't know about you guys, but now because we've got the shoulders down and head down, there's even less range. It's not coming up as high in my back, but I'm not feeling any stretch around the shoulders like I did before in the last two. Last one. Come all the way back to the center and hold. Now keep your legs wide apart and bring your hands in beside you. We're going to go into our pelvic curl. Breathing out as you tilt your pelvis, rolling up into a bridge position. Get a little bit of a squeeze into the gluteals. Feel that lovely opening of the hips. And then roll down through the spine and release. We're going to do two more. Articulate through your spine. If your knees don't like this position, feel free to adjust so that it works for you. And work your way through your spine. And release. This is our last one. Tilting pelvis back. And with our legs wide apart, we've got quite a lovely range of movement through the sacrum. So we should be able to come up relatively high. And then roll down through your spine and stay here. Bring your hands up, interlace your fingers, hands go underneath your head for support. Give your spine a little bit of a wiggle. Float your elbows, and we're doing a chest lift from here. On your breath out, slide forward. And gently down. Release. 3 more. So we're doing 5 total. And release. Last 2. Notice how your lower back feels. Notice the height that you're coming to. Notice the connections into your core. And release. Take your hands out and place them beside you. Walk your feet a little closer so you're in a parallel position here, about hip width apart and arms beside you, pelvic curl. Tilting pelvis, rolling up into your bridge position. Hold it here for a moment. Feel the gluteals, notice the hips, and roll down through your spine. And release. Take a breath in. Exhale. So now with our legs in parallel, you might not be able to come up as high because you have a little bit more force closure around the sacrum. So with the legs here, it's holding our position a little bit tighter. Last one. Exhale. Stay for a breath. And then work your way down through your spine and release. Bringing hands up, interlace fingers, hands go underneath your head for support, elbows are floating, give your spine a little wiggle. Now chest lift, curl forward, and float back. We're going to do 4 more. Observe again, how does your lower back feel? How high are you able to come? Do you feel the same connection to your lower abs and center? It might feel all slightly different because the inner thigh and the hip flexors are starting to work a little bit more. Release back and hold. We have one last set. Hands down beside you. Bring your knees and your feet right next to each other now. Pelvic curl. Tilt your pelvis. Rolling up. And now, how does that feel? If your knees don't like it, please just move them if they need to come apart. Roll down through your spine. You feel how much more your inner thighs and hamstrings are having to work. 2 more. Tilt pelvis. You might not be able to come up as high as you did before. And roll down. So this is a much more stable position, but much more restricted when it comes to range. Last one. A little bit of a squeeze with the top inner thighs, gluteals working. Roll down through your spine and release, bringing your hands up, interlace fingers, hands behind your head. Give yourself a little bit of a wiggle. And now our last set of chest lift. Nod your chin, exhale, your ribs slide towards your pelvis, squeeze inner thighs, and releasing slowly back. Last 4. Observe how this feels. And release. So with the inner thighs connected, it's quite a lovely way to almost reflexively engage the pelvic floor and that deep center line all the way up into those deep neck flexors. So for some people, this inner thigh connection helps them release the tension at the back of the neck. Last one. And release. Stretch your legs out. Reach your arms overhead. Give yourself a little bit of a good morning stretch. Maybe make a little croissant to one side. Little croissant over to the other side. And come back to the center. Hug both knees in towards your chest. A little bit of a rocking action maybe. And we're going to do rolling like a ball here. I want you to slip your hands behind your thighs, curl your spine into that rounded shape, hold it there. Now use your feet to kick. Use your feet to kick. 3 more, kick. 2 more, stay rounded. 1 more, up you come and balance. Now move your hands to the front of your shins. Draw your feet in closer. Now see if you can roll from here. Breathe in. There is no more momentum of the feet. So this again, in our whole theme of today, is highlighting how that shifting of body weight, or in this case, no shifting of body weight or kicking of legs, affects the connections that we feel. 1 more. Up you come, hold it, and placing your feet all the way down. So move back a little bit. We're almost done. Bring your left foot in towards you. Bring the right foot towards the front. Pull the flesh of your bum out the back. And we're going to inhale to reach all the way up. And then exhale. Just bring your fingertips in front of you. If that's your stretch, then you stay there. If you can put your hands flat, then you come here. If you can go all the way forward, then take yourself down. But you want to get a little bit of a stretch around the hips, maybe around the lower back. And then just allow yourself to settle here for 3 full conscious breaths in and out. And with each exhale, see if you can allow yourself to release a little bit deeper. And just 1 more easy breath in. Slowly coming all the way up again. Stretch your legs out. Give your knees just a little bit of a shake so you get the circulation moving down your legs again. Now do the other side. So you're going to pull your right foot in towards you first. Then your left foot comes in towards the front. Pull your bum out. Reach arms up. And then all the way forward you come. So this could be it. Or you could put hands down. Or you can walk a little bit deeper. And quite frankly, it might be a very different position that you've got on this side based on how tight your hips are, right versus left. Maybe it's a little bit more into the lower back. Just stay with your breath. And then slowly walk yourself all the way back upright, lifting up nice and tall. Stretch your legs out. Get the circulation moving through your knees again. And now we're just going to turn onto hands and knees. It doesn't matter which direction you're facing. Spread your fingers out. Tuck your toes under. We're moving into a downward facing dog. So I want you to just hover your knees a fraction off the ground. Move your hips back. Now, stay here for a moment. Really, really bend the knees. Straighten your arms and lengthen your spine as much as you can. Now, I'm going to get you to push both heels towards the floor. And when you do that, straighten your knees and round your spine. Then bend your knees and lengthen your spine. Straighten your knees and round your spine. So again, this is just highlighting that shift around the joints. This is the back line of our body. And oftentimes what happens is that one part of the back line could be tight, in which case we compensate with another area. And now bend your knees, lengthen your spine. Now, how straight can you take your legs without rounding the spine? Guys, it doesn't matter if your legs are straight or not. But as soon as you feel that your back is rounding, I want you to stop and I want you to breathe. Just allow yourself to be in that shape and in that space. Take a nice, easy inhale. Round your spine, soften your knees. Walk your feet halfway forward. Walk your hands back to your toes. Keep your fingertips to the ground. Shake your head no. Nod your head yes. Roll all the way upright into standing. Rooting into your feet and lifting all the way up and tall. Pause here just for a moment. And then when you're ready, when you feel centered, just soften your gaze or close your eyes. Feel your body in space. Feel the connections from your feet up and your head down. From your center line out to the right, from your center line out to the left, and from the sides of your body back to your midline. Feeling that spiraling of energy all the way around your body, 360 degrees, going clockwise, 360 degrees, going counterclockwise. Take a moment just before we open eyes to bring yourself back to your intention for the series. Acknowledging this last week of classes for the series. Letting yourself move forward into the weekend. Taking a nice deep inhale through your nose. Long exhale through your mouth. Blink your eyes open. Give your fingers, your wrists, and your hands a little wiggle. Same thing with your toes, your feet, your ankles. Fantastic.